Well, you know that they don't like to talk about this subject, and you know, if you're a truther out there and you know, you talk about what's really going on, and I've said it many times in my videos that you know, because they want to blame Bashar al-Assad and say that Bashar al-Assad is using you know, chemical weapons against his own people. But what about Trump and fucking, you know, the United States using chemical weapons against its own people? We know them as chemtrails, you know, and yet you know that's a hush-hush subject. Nobody really wants to deal with it, you know, even though you see a lot of truther videos out there, but then they get tore down and everything. But yet they accuse Bashar al-Assad of the same thing. And they try to set up Bashar al-Assad to say that he's using sarin gas against his own people, but yet Donald Trump, and yet there's no call for Russian intervention over here to bomb Donald Trump because he's using weapons against his own people. Where's the call for that? No, because it doesn't suit their agenda. But yet they're chemtrailing us to death. You know, you see it every fucking day that you wake up. You can look up into the skies and see it. You know, this ain't dogmatic or anything. You didn't see this shit 20 years ago, but that's what they're fucking doing. They're, you know, putting chemtrails out there, you know, and, you know, they have these things at your local nutrition store, you know, here in Reading, and yet, you know, people want to act like that this is not happening, but it is happening. Well, first of all, I want to give all honor and praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are out there pushing this truth. And a shout out to the Akim, who's also out there pushing the truth. You know, because we're all about this truth. And the truth being is that ESAU's so-called white man, who is the devil in the Bible, is coming down with great wrath because he knows his time is short. And that's why you're seeing all these chemtrails, everything else that's going on. You know, all the things that they don't want to talk about is now coming out because ESAU's being exposed on every level. You know, and these chemtrails is just a part of that. You know, as, you know, you can look up, even Prince said it about 7 years ago in an interview. He says you look up the skies and you see these chemtrails, you know. And he said he wanted people to get educated, you know. And so, you know, we know that the bee colonies are dying, that crops are dying because they're deliberately poisoning it, and people are getting more sick all the time, having to depend on health care because, of course, they want to put their chip in you. They want to put the mark on you. The mark of the beast, you know, and so, you know, you find yourself getting sick almost all the time now, you know, and it's very hard to fight off a cold. You know, even if you do, you know, and I do strongly encourage echinacea and golden seal, you know, that you use this regularly, but still, even with that, you're still getting poisoned with the chemtrails. The water has fluoride in it, you know, the food, you know that it's genetic, engineering, you know, it's genetically modified foods. You know, well, this DVD here, you know, which I'll see what I can about trying to get some of the stuff out of it, but I'll press the play button here, so give me a second here.
So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax.
And I believe strongly in clean water and clean air. But I don't believe that what they say, I think it's a big scam for a lot of people to make a lot of money.
Are you the pilot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, can I put you on camera? Do you mind? Hold on, just like that. Hey, do you know anything about chemtrails?
No. Okay, yeah. Just a question to you. Hello.
Hi.
Do you speak English?
Sure, what do you need?
Okay, just a question. Do you know what is a chemtrail?
The what?
A chemtrail.
I do know what a chemtrail is.
Yeah.
About the chemtrail generator.
Oh.
Let's make sure that thing's working. We're going to check this out. Green point.
Oh, look at that. They're working. They're working. You can see the chemtrails coming out of the engines here. Look at that.
Ich bin Luft- und Raumfahrttechniker und habe Flugzeuge repariert und so weiter. Ich möchte euch jetzt mal ganz kurz erzählen, was ich gemacht habe.
Skies are actually overcast, so we can't see the geoengineering or the chemtrailing that's taking place. It's going on all over the country, all over the world, and people everywhere. There is an epidemic of people simply coughing. How many people do you know?
Look at
this? I mean, what the is wrong with everyone? Can't you see this? Can't anyone see this in the sky?
There's a lot of WestJet planes flying over top of the place I'm visiting here in Calgary. These are the people who are behind the chemtrails here.
Turn around. Watch.
What they found out was it started interfering with the ionosphere. And when they found that out, it became an experiment. And it's been an experiment for a multitude of weaponry ever since.
You mentioned earlier that you're a pilot. Yeah, talk about chemtrails. We hear a lot about that. What are those, and are they for real?
Well, when you look into that and ask questions, they say, oh yeah, contrails. No, contrails.
I'm dying to take a picture. Oh, that's cool. My neighbor, you get it. So chemtrail jam, doing a video. Chemtrail generators are on, and yeah, there it is. Look, you can see them. Oh, hey, that's awesome. It's working.
Aircraft making a condensation trail is very similar in many ways to when you go outside on a cold day and exhale, you create a condensation trail. That little cloud is a condensation trail. Now, if you take a 2-mile walk on...
Do you know what they are?
I've heard of them, I don't know what they are.
Okay.
I've heard of it, I don't know what they are.
You don't know what it is.
Goodbye,
bye-bye. Yep. Okay.
Goodbye, thank you.
And is it true? Well, there's a big debate.
Yeah.
Are you filming me?
Maybe. Okay. No,
I want to go on record there.
Okay. No, but do you believe it?
If you take a 2-mile walk on a cold day and you can turn around and you can see your condensation trail tracking all the way back for 2 miles. That's how crazy it is to think that what we're looking in the sky is actually condensation trails.
Ich habe auf dem militärischen Sonderflughafen Oberpfaffenhofen in Zusammenarbeit mit dem Deutschen Luft- und Raumfahrtzentrum ein Flugzeug mit einer Sprüheinrichtung ausgestattet, was an uns hat.
Mate, I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's summertime. That's why we don't see blue skies anymore. People walking down the street, looking at their phones, looking at anything else but the sky.
This is the wine spit test, where you rinse your mouth out, and then you take grape juice, and you hold it in your mouth, and you spit it out into a petri dish. Now watch the stuff is alive. Watch what happens.
It is endless, the capabilities of what HARP is. It is an experiment in the process. It is endless, I say endless, what HARP can do.
So yeah, contrails. No, contrails are behind a jet. If you see a jet flying very high, the stripe, the condensed stripe behind it. But you see a jet airplane going, it's not only one, they have 4 condensed stripes behind them.
As you can see, I was a airline pilot. What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal. They're not natural. There's something going on. I don't know who it is or why they're doing it. All I can testify is it's not natural and it's not normal.
So you see the contrails that don't dissipate?
The ones that I see generally just...
You don't see the long enduring ones?
Yeah, I see those.
Do they think you sign a waiver that you're not allowed to talk about what goes on in the sky? What?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, but because I saw a lot of videos on the internet, and it looks believable.
Well, it's arguable both ways, I think.
Yeah.
Depends on which side you're on, but
yeah.
Force them in just a little. Watch. Look. Look what it does.
Now you can film it up close.
I am.
There's a huge amount of aluminum being found because these sprays have aluminum, strontium, barium, manganese, and there's a lot of argument that aluminum is very common to be found, but aluminum is only common in a bonded form. It's not common in a free form.
Telling them that we have to lay a pattern up there to prevent sun energy from hitting Earth. And what they're doing in there, it's now pretty much determined. They're putting in their aluminum, barium, and strontium.
Ausgestattet, was an uns am Himmel giftige Substanzen versprüht. Als ich mit den Beweisen dafür, den Fotos und allem drum und dran,
Disaster.
Biological warfare, my friends. This is the stuff they're spraying on us.
Parasites.
These people are out to murder everyone on Earth. These people have sold their soul to the devil.
They have only scratched the surface of what HAARP is capable of. What are they using it for? All 24 stations. Oh, it's more than 24 stations. It's 244 stations now.
Now you take these chemicals and run them through a PubMed literature search in respect to human health. You will find more than 3,000 papers. Aluminum alone. I mean, aluminum Alzheimer's, right? Mental. I mean, there's no question about it.
So sieht's aus. Ich stelle mich jedem Untersuchungsausschuss zur Verfügung. Es ist 3 Tage später mein Boss zu mir nach Hause gekommen und hat gesagt, ich muss dich entlassen. Da werden von ganz oben große Räder gedreht, die ich nicht mehr halten kann. Ich kriege keinen Job mehr in der Luftfahrt.
Suddenly, the stuff that they're laying out there, it comes down in rain. If it falls on crops, it kills the crops. It's like they have big blisters on any one of the crops, vegetables or things like that. Organic crops, totally destroyed. Can't even use them.
Jeder, der gerne wissen möchte, wie das aussieht und wie das gemacht wird, der kann dann zu mir kommen. Ich habe hier alles mit.
We are virtually under assault right now. It's not alarmism, it's not exaggeration. This type of weather modification puts out chemicals and toxins, some known, some not known. Many people who try to debate this issue, if they ask you why they should believe this is going on, we have film of it happening, end of the argument. That's it. There's no debate, no discussion, this is not speculation. When we have films that we can clearly see are spraying, there's no denying that jet is spraying, period. We have interior films, or interior footage, which I'll show in a moment. But the bottom line is, that's not a condensation trail. Any notion that it is simply denial or complete ignorance. So this is, you can even see on this jet that each side of the plane, the plumes are different lengths, which means the nozzles are not aligned perfectly. You see different composition in the trail, also indicative of different materials being expelled from different portions of the aircraft. So again, this amounts to weather warfare, period. The U.S. has historically engaged in weather warfare around the globe. This is historical fact. We have data going back to Vietnam, 1968, Project Popeye. 1976, UN passed resolutions forbidding weather modification in wartime. So again, this is not speculation. We live in a society that's been trained to shut down when they hear the word conspiracy theory. They've been conditioned pretty well. But the bottom line is, this is the issue that can't be ignored any longer. People can ignore Kennedy, people can ignore false flag events like Vietnam and even whatever happened on 9/11, but this issue can't be ignored. When in the North State, for example, we turn on our water faucets and nothing comes out, that's the end of the road. This is very recent. This is from 2 days ago. Al Gore, use of geoengineering to head off climate change disaster is insane. So although we don't have an admission that's going on, it's getting closer by the day, and it looks like Al Gore is trying to now distance himself from these programs that he has not admitted to yet. This is important media. They'll be seeing more of this in the coming weeks. One interior shot there. Again, we can't know from the variants of different planes the different configurations of spray apparatus. This is an ongoing experiment. There's likely many different configurations. We see aircraft trails that have different color compositions. So this is an ongoing experiment of which we are all a part, like it or not. Another interior, high pressure tanks. When this image was posted, the sites that initially posted it, a couple of them were taken down. This image appeared to be tried to be taken off the net as quickly as possible, but too many people downloaded it. It's out there now. More configurations. Obviously, there's a whole lot of planes with a whole lot of tanks doing a whole lot of something. So this kind of footage should not be ignored. Clearly, these are what would appear to be passenger planes, most of them with windows. So there appear to be many different types of aircrafts involved in the spraying activities. This is what we have. Again, global geoengineering, the ever-changing experiment, and we are, again, part of that experiment. Russian scholar warns of secret U.S. climate change weapon. We have Russia engaged in this as well. We also have China, and this is one of the reasons why it's so hard to get any sort of mainstream coverage, because the big players are all involved up to their eyeballs. So that's one of the reasons the media coverage is so sparse, but it's coming. What do weather weapons do? They wreak havoc in countries without anybody knowing they're even under assault. In the case of floods, droughts, all of this is a form of weather weaponry and weather warfare. And there's no arguing that we are all a part of weather warfare when our climate is being impacted the way it is right now. Again, countries around the globe, this sort of impact, nobody would recognize as being an assault. And that's what's so prized about weather warfare for the powers that be. Nobody even knows they're being attacked. Bridges, infrastructure, wiped out. You can literally bring a country